You hear the term artificial intelligence pretty much everywhere, right? But what does it actually mean? Are we talking about the dawn of a new era or, the beginning of the end? Well, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most powerful and, let's be honest, controversial technologies of our time.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Your favorite streaming service seems to read your mind. Your phone just knows it's you. It's this kind of mind-reading, almost magical quality that makes AI so powerful and really so woven into our world already.
Okay, but it's not actually magic, right? It's technology. And it's technology specifically designed to copy one of the most incredible things in the known universe: our own brain's ability to learn, to adapt, and to see patterns in all the chaos.
All right, so let's start at the very beginning. When we say AI, what are we actually talking about? Let's get the big picture.
So here's the official, kind of textbook definition. At its heart, AI is all about giving computers the power to do things that, for a long time, only humans could do. Learning from what's happened before, thinking logically, and cracking really tough problems.
But here's a much better way to think about it. Imagine a huge team of detectives. Each one only has one tiny little clue. On its own, that clue is pretty much useless. But by working together, passing those clues back and forth at incredible speed, they can piece together the entire mystery. That's kind of what an AI is doing.
Okay, so that's the what. But the how? Well, that's where things get really fascinating. How does this team of digital detectives actually learn to get better at solving the mystery? Let's pop the hood and take a look.
So what we're often talking about is something called a neural network, and you can think of it like a digital assembly line. First, you have the input layer, where all the raw data goes in, like every single pixel in a photo of a cat. Then it goes through the hidden layers. This is where the real thinking happens. One layer might spot edges, the next might see shapes, the next might recognize ears and whiskers. And finally, you get to the output layer, which spits out the answer. Yep, that's a cat.
But how does it get good at this? That's the key question, right? Well, it makes a guess. That's called the forward pass. Then it checks its work. It compares its guess to the right answer and figures out how wrong it was. And here's the brilliant part: backpropagation. That error signal travels backward through the whole network, telling every single connection, hey, you need to tweak yourself a little bit to get closer next time. It's just this constant, relentless cycle of guess, check, and adjust.
You hear these terms thrown around all the time: machine learning, deep learning, and it can get a little confusing. But the difference is actually pretty simple. Machine learning is the whole big idea of teaching computers to learn from data. Deep learning is just a type of machine learning that uses those neural networks we just talked about. Specifically, networks with a ton of those hidden layers. That depth is what lets them learn really, really complex stuff.
Okay, so we've been talking about the theory, the code, but let's bring this all back down to earth. Let's look at how this stuff actually shows up in your day-to-day life.
And I mean, it is everywhere. That Google search you just did? AI. That movie Netflix recommended to you last night? AI. The directions you got from Siri or Alexa? Yep, you guessed it. AI. Even the way your phone unlocks with just a quick glance is AI that has learned to do that one very specific task just for you.
And it's not just about our phones and streaming services. AI is completely changing entire industries. In medicine, AlphaFold 2 is solving the mystery of how proteins fold. That's a huge breakthrough for discovering new medicines. In finance, it's managing investments. It's even mastered our most complex strategy games. And it's helping farmers grow more food with less water. It's a true game changer.
This quote gets at something really interesting, something called the AI effect. Think about it. Do you call the autofocus on your camera AI? Probably not. Once a piece of AI tech gets good enough and common enough, we kind of stop seeing it as AI. We just call it technology. It just fades into the background.
Okay, but with all this incredible power, it obviously leads us to some really big, really important questions. We have to talk about the other side of the coin. The power, sure, but also the peril.
So, this has kicked off a massive global conversation, and it tends to circle around a few key risks. What happens when AI learns from our biased data and just repeats our own prejudices? How are we supposed to deal with a flood of fake images and videos? Will this lead to huge job losses? And then, of course, there's the big one. Could we lose control?
And this isn't just theoretical stuff. Take algorithmic bias. There was this really famous and, frankly, awful example back in 2015.
A major photo app made this horrifying mistake because its training data just wasn't diverse. The AI wasn't malicious. It simply learned a flawed, biased picture of the world because that's the data we fed it. It's a powerful reminder that AI learns exactly what we teach it, flaws and all.
And what's so wild is that the very people who built this technology are having a huge public debate about the future. On one side, you have people like Geoffrey Hinton, one of the godfathers of AI, who's now warning about a potential takeover. On the other side, you have experts like Jan LeCun, who basically says all that dystopian talk is ridiculous and we should focus on the good AI can do.
So how is the world responding to all of this? Well, people are scrambling to catch up. We've already had the first ever global summit on AI safety. Countries are signing agreements to work together. The European Union passed the AI Act, which is the first big piece of regulation. Even the big tech companies themselves are making voluntary promises on safety. The race is on to figure this out.
So, at the end of the day, what is AI? Maybe the best way to think about it is like a mirror. It just reflects the data we give it, the history we show it, and the goals we set for it. It's learning from us, our knowledge, our creativity, and, yeah, our biases too. So the ultimate question really isn't about what AI can do. It's about what we, as its teachers, want it to become.